Hey, what's up everyone? I'm Colby from Sanitarium Productions. I'm back again with another G.I. Joe action figure review. Today we're taking a look at the 2017 convention exclusive Ultimate Enemies 2-pack. This came as part of the Battle Force 2000 convention set. This was one of the attendee exclusives that you pretty much couldn't get unless you were actually in attendance. Kind of hard to get, but it's a really cool looking set. This is the way it comes, polybagged in a 2-pack here. We get the figures and the file cards and everything inside the sealed bag. So we're going to go ahead and unseal the bag for you. Take our handy dandy here, Fat Max Stanley, and just slice that open. And dump the contents out. So we have up first DeeJay. We've got the file cards. And we have Cobra Corrosion. Those are the two figures we get. It's kind of the Ultimate Enemies 2-pack is kind of a throwback to some of the Battle Force 2000 double packs they used to have, so it's a kind of a cool concept here. So we get two cool figures, and now we're just going to go ahead and zoom in on each of these guys and take a closer look. So stick with us. Let's start out by taking a look at the actual file cards themselves. So they do come in a nice sealed bag here. So we're just going to unseal this bag here. Kind of a nice touch. I know some of the earlier convention exclusives didn't have these, and they just kind of loosely threw these things in there. So I do like the bags on that, so that's kind of nice. The first one we have is Cobra Corrosion, and if you want to, you can go ahead and pause your video to take a look. I'm not going to read it for you, but feel free to do that yourself right now. Okay, we're moving on here. The other figure we have is DeeJay. Again, you can pause right now and read through this yourselves. And now we're moving on. So those are the two file cards we get. I do like the fact that they come in their own little sealed bag here, so that's cool. The backs of these are just regular cardboard. No big deal. So there you go. File cards away. The first figure we have up is Cobra Corrosion. I'll admit I don't know a whole lot about this particular figure, but we're going to open it up and see what it is anyways. If I remember correctly, and again, feel free to correct me for those people out there that know more than I do. I'm sure there's lots of you. This particular figure was based off of one of the international figures, I think. But anyways, Cobra Corrosion is the way that they're calling it now. We're going to start out with the figure itself, and then we'll get into the accessories here in a second. Actually, no. Let's open the accessories. I can't wait. They come sealed in their own little separate bag here, so we're going to cut the tape off of that and dump the accessories out. Alright, first up we have the figure stand. The traditional 25th anniversary figure stand. We've got the raised Cobra logo. We've got two actual foot pegs here. The code name on the front, Cobra Corrosion. Beyond that, it's a pretty standard 2007 copyright. So that's the figure stand. These are always awesome, and it's I'm gonna hopefully the Hasbro will continue putting those with everything because they are wonderful. We've got a couple of different accessories here. We'll start with the smaller one. We've got this cool sci-fi looking shotgun thing here, assault blaster, I don't know. It looks cool, whatever it is. Nice detail work. I do like the blue color. It's a slight departure than some of the rest of these things that we've seen in the past, but it works well with the figure in question here, so that's nice. The other accessory here may look familiar to some of y'all. This is essentially an updated version of Hardball's weapon from the vintage line. It's a really cool looking grenade launcher. It does have this cool spinning cylinder here with your grenades in it. Some really awesome detail work going on this thing. This thing is pretty amazing, to be honest with you. Yes, I really do dig this weapon. It's a huge, huge gun. Very nice though. Moving on to the figure itself. It's again a slightly different color scheme than probably most of us are used to seeing. It's a little garish and a little out there, very reminiscent of some of the late 90s releases in the G.I. Joe line where they kind of went neon with everything. But for whatever reason, it actually looks pretty cool here, to be honest with you. I'm really liking it more than I was expecting to be honest with you. Whatever, still looks cool. It's kind of based on a couple of different figures kind of thrown together here. I do recognize the chest piece from the Cobra Moto Viper. The head looks like a Televiper. But it does manage to come together in a completely new look here. So it's pretty cool. As far as articulation goes, the head does spin 360 degrees. We've got a little bit up and down motion. Just enough, I would say. Got a standard T ball and swivel at the shoulder joint there, ball and swivel at the elbow joint, and standard just regular swivel there at the wrist. Looks cool though. We do have the rib cage twist feature there, and we do have a little bit, actually quite a bit of ab crunch motion going on there, so that's cool. On the side, you'll notice the little pegs here for these vests almost always pop open. These things are notoriously bad for just not wanting to stay closed. You can take a little bit of warm water here and heat that up a little bit, and it'll you can get it to snap in there a little bit better, and it'll lock in place. But for whatever reason, these things have always had issues, so I've gotten used to it, and it really doesn't bother me, but just something for you to be aware of out there in viewer land. If you see that, it's not really anything to worry about. They pretty much all do that. We got the standard T-hook at the waist. This one's a little tight, a little snug. Forward and back motion isn't too bad, but side to side motion's a little bit limited here, but that may just be because of it being new and it's kind of real tight. We do have a double knee joint here and a swivel and rocker here on the ankle. So all in all, really nice articulation. There's a little bit of paint weirdness going on here on the legs here, the upper part. If you can see that or not, it's just barely visible to me, but it's there. Same thing on the back here. You can see a little bit where the paint's missing, but all in all, it's not bad. Again, I don't really know anything about the figure itself, the actual character, but the actual figure itself, it's really works. It's growing on me quite a bit. We'll go ahead and arm this guy up here. The big huge cannon there is really nice. This crazy sci-fi weapon here works pretty well also. So yeah, all in all, this is a cool figure. This Cobra Corrosion. Again, somebody remind me of what the devil this thing is supposed to be based off of, because I am really digging it here. It's a really nice figure. Pretty awesome, even though it doesn't quite fit in with a lot of the other G.I. Joe characters. The military theme is a little bit of a far fetch for this guy. But in my head, this would work really well with some of the the Zombie Initiative figures and some of the Toxo Vipers and things like that. So I really do like it. The second figure in this set is DeeJay, part of the Battle Force 2000 line, or the Force of Battle 2000 if you go off the way they had to rebrand these things. Battle Force 2000 is what I'm going with. DeeJay actually came originally in the vintage line as an individual released figure, and this one looks like a very nice update of that. I actually had the figure back in those days. And while he was a slightly weird figure for most people, for whatever reason, I ended up really liking the guy. And he actually ended up being one of the guys that was in a lot of my tours of duty at that time. So really cool. I'm really glad to have a new updated version of him. I never actually expected to see one. So very cool. We got the accessory kit here. So let's go ahead and open it up as well before we dive into the figure. This thing's a little bit hard to get exact, precise work with. Whatever. Let's dump this guy out. Alrighty, up first we have the figure stand, and this one comes in a slightly different color scheme than we've seen in the past. A nice bright green. I don't know why they did this, but it looks nice, whatever. Nice raised G.I. Joe logo on the front. The 2 foot pegs for the figure. Battle Force 2000 DeeJay. Beyond that is pretty much the same standard mold that we've seen everywhere else. Again, I don't really know why they went with a slightly different color scheme on this guy for, I don't know. If anybody else out there in viewer land knows, drop a comment, let us know that. But thank you for including it, Hasbro. Let's see here. The first thing we have is this cool backpack. Communication backpack kind of thing. It does have an articulated arm on it with, I guess that's a microphone kind of thing on here. It looks a lot like the backpack from Mainframe, but I could be wrong here. Nice kind of soft blue plastic. The original vintage line figure had this really ginormous backpack that really looked weird and all sorts of stuff. But this is kind of a nice updated version of that. Again, I can see why they wouldn't necessarily want to retool things or make new. They could just kind of repackage something like this, and it still works pretty well, so I'm actually not really all that disappointed in this thing. That weird backpack he had was just weird, to be honest with you. Accessory-wise, we have a little pistol here in white, which means it's going to be hard to show any detail, and also evidently hard for me to hold on to it. There we go. It's kind of a standard pistol that we've seen with a lot of other characters, just all in white this time, which is kind of refreshing. He's not an Arctic figure, just so you know. There you go. And then we have this cool gun that never made any sense in the original line. He's kind of a futuristic warrior in my head, so he comes with a futuristic gun. And they do that very well. It's just, it, again, doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and don't really have a good frame of reference for it. But it's still a really nice looking weapon. Some nice detail work on this. I'm sure it probably won't pick up well on, on camera, but that's what we got anyways. Moving on to the figure itself. This is a nice looking figure. They did a really good job here with utilizing parts they had to create this guy, and I'm actually really impressed with this. it really does look a whole lot like the original figure here. Even though it's a completely different take on it, it still works and it still looks really nice. The head works. It has the same kind of appearance as you would expect out of that original vintage figure. So yes, not a lot of detail work going on. It's kind of plain, but it still works. It looks really nice, to be honest with you. Maybe that's just my rose-colored glasses coming in from the looking back at the way I remember the old figure. So, but that's kind of what this line is about, is kind of, you know, having that connection with those older figures. And yeah, sometimes you got to squint to see that, but this figure really does capture that same imagination, I guess, for whatever reason. All right, moving past that, let's look at articulation. The head does move 360 degrees, and we've got some up and down motion as well. Nothing too extravagant there. Some really nice detail work going on actually on the actual face. You can see these little silver highlights on his face mask there. Very nice there. A couple of other silver highlights throughout the costume here. We do have the standard ball and swivel at the shoulder joint, standard ball and swivel at the elbow joint, and standard swivel, just swivel at the wrist joint. We do have the rib cage twist feature, and we've got some ab crunch feature there. The chest piece there is not really holding that in whatsoever, so that's really cool. Got a standard T-hook at the waist. Plenty of articulation there. We've got a double knee joint and a swivel and rocker there at the ankle joint. So all in all, really nice articulation. Yeah, this is a cool looking figure, to be honest with you. I'm really impressed with it. And I shouldn't be, but it works. So we'll go ahead and slap his backpack on there. Gotta line it up just right. And then you can see this microphone piece kind of slides down on the front there. Does fit in there a little looser than I would expect, but it does work. Then we've got his crazy gun here. Works really well. No problem with that. And then he also can grab his pistol here. And yeah, so that actually works really well. That original weapon here in the vintage line was I want to say it was a crazy purple color. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, it wasn't white anyways. But all in all, yeah, this figure is actually a lot better than I thought, and I don't really know what it is about it that's resonating, but it definitely does work. This is actually a really good figure. I know the original figure in the vintage line didn't really get any love whatsoever. It was just a little bit too crazy of an ideal, I think, for most people, but I really dig this guy. He's really cool looking, so yeah, I would say you need to get this figure. So this is what you get in the Ultimate Enemies 2-pack from the 2017 convention exclusive attendee package, whatever you want to call it. You get a cool DeeJay figure. You get this cool Cobra Corrosion figure. The concept with this actually worked out really well. What they ended up doing is essentially reusing the same sculpt for two different figures. And it's really amazing that just the different paint apps create such a different variation in these two guys. Their chest harnesses are different, of course, but they're the same exact figure, just with different paint apps. So, but they do look like two completely different characters here, and this is really amazing. And I'm really I wouldn't say excited, but this ended up being a lot better in execution than I thought it was. You know, when I first heard about what they had done here, I was not really that enthused. I picked it up anyways because I'm crazy and I need to get these G.I. Joes. But having it here in hand and looking at it here, I'm actually really amazed at how well this set works. The idea that you have the ultimate enemies works pretty well here, and essentially having mirror images of a character, it's a really cool concept. I'm really glad that they went ahead and tried it, and really impressed that it actually worked as well as it does. So yes, very cool looking. So out of this set here, I really think DeeJay is the better figure. I like the weapon out of Corrosion a lot better as well, but they still have merits in themselves. So I would actually probably rate this particular set as highly recommended. I know it being a convention exclusive, these things are going for crazy prices, but just kind of keep your eye out. The prices fluctuate a little bit. On average, you're probably going to be looking at about $100 as of whenever this video was posted. This was roughly, summer of 2018. So yeah, the price is going to go up and down, and I know that sounds like a lot, but it's a really good set, and I really can't rate it as less than highly recommended. So I guess I should probably drop it down to just recommended. DeeJay by himself is highly recommended. Corrosion by himself is a little bit above recommended. The weapons pack is highly recommended on Corrosion, but that's the way it is. The other thing to be thinking about is they also actually released a separate accessory weapons pack from the 2017 convention, which had a different colored rifle for DeeJay, and I think they also had a different colored weapon for Corrosion here. I think all the weapons in that pack were all black color, so just be thinking about that. You may want to go out and try to track that down and pick that set up as well. It's a little bit easier to come by probably, so still really cool. And again, I love this DeeJay figure, so yeah, this was a really good job on this thing. So anyways, that's my opinion for whatever it's worth. That's all the time we've got for today, so thanks for watching. Drop some comments down below. Let us know what you think of this Ultimate Enemies 2-pack. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Like us and share us with other people if you would so choose. And I guess that's it, so until next time, Yo Joe.